What's up, football fans? It's your boy Victor here. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, comment down below. We've got a lot to talk about. The Manchester United derby, boring, new. Both teams didn't even try to win. They were happy to get a draw. Also, Paul Pogba agent made comments last week, and Paul Pogba spoke out about those comments. He told his side of the story. Also, other results in the Premier League, most top four teams dropped points, and no one really capitalized on those points dropped. Okay, so let's get started and stay tuned. Let's start with Paul Pogba situation. Paul Pogba agent, I should say, Nino Viola, made some comments about the relationship between Man United and Paul Pogba, and a lot of fans went on Paul Pogba saying that Paul Pogba was disrespecting the club and all that. But I don't see how Paul Pogba is disrespecting the club, because Paul Pogba told Man United 2 years ago that he wants to leave. He said he wants a new challenge and he wants to leave. Now, instead of Man United selling Pogba, what they did is they gave him a new contract. And let's not forget about Man United treat the players like rubbish. Herrera, Romero, Schweinsteiger. You know what I mean? The list goes on. Many players left United and said that they've been treated unfairly. Oh, let's not forget Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand didn't even have a proper sent off. When he left United, he didn't have the chance to say goodbye to his mates. That's how Man United treat players. Now, Paul Pogba is in a different position. He's in a strong position because he wants to leave, but United want him to sign a new deal. But basically, United is doing the best not to sell Paul Pogba. But Paul Pogba made it clear that he wants to leave. So there's a stalemate here. Now the fans were not all fans. Some fans, the Pogba haters, they went against Pogba. He's disrespecting the club. He should be paying for the club again. Blah blah blah. I disagree, because at the end of the day, try to put yourself on Pogba's position, right? You want to leave the club. It's been 2 years, no progress. We are nowhere near competitive enough to even attempt to win the Premier League. Even though if you look at the table, we are title challengers apparently, but it's not true. We nowhere near competing for the Premier League. Let's face it. Paul Pogba wants to win titles, and United are showing no ambition. I don't blame Paul Pogba for wanting to leave. And if I was Paul Pogba, I wouldn't tell my agent to shut up when my agent is trying to get me a move. Now, but Paul Pogba made it clear that he basically was saying, what he said was, the future is far, but at the moment I'm playing football here. I'll give 100%. I'm United for now. You know what I mean? Basically, Paul Pogba is saying, yeah, I'm still here. I'm playing football. But in the future, I want to leave. I think what's going to happen is United will not be able to find a buyer that can afford Paul Pogba at the moment, and Paul Pogba will not sign a new contract. He will stay until his contract runs out. Now, what United should have done is maybe try to arrange a deal where, a club gives some money plus a player or something like that, And some newspapers are saying that Juventus want Paul Pogba on loan. It's not going to happen. United only does those type of deals, players on loan with the option to buy, when United is trying to get rid of a player. For example, Alex Sanchez. Alex Sanchez went to Inter on loan with the option to buy, and eventually Inter bought Alex Sanchez. Now United doesn't want to sell Paul Pogba unless someone meets the demand, unless someone's paid the price. Paul Pogba is not leaving United. And from Pogba's point of view, unless he gets his move, he will play to the best of his ability. He will not disrespect the club. He will not throw his toys out the pram. But in the meantime, he will not sign a new deal, and that's the situation with Paul Pogba. I think, in my opinion, in my prediction, we're going to have Paul Pogba until next summer, and Paul Pogba is leaving next summer for sure. And that's all I have to say about that. Now, in relation to the game itself, the derby, the Manchester derby, was boring. You know what I mean? No attempt to win whatsoever. The interesting thing was City played with two defensive midfielders. City never played with two defensive midfielders. I never seen them playing with the two defensive midfielders before. Now that's because Guardiola knows that United strength is on a counter attack. And although City always play on the front foot, they were well aware that if they gave United space, United would hurt them. So even Guardiola was happy to get a draw, which is a surprise considering how big those two teams are, and considering that those two teams should be challenging for the Premier League. That's how far we are dropping now. This is how far the United clubs are dropping. Even City is happy to get a draw against United. And in the end, there was an embrace between Stones and Maguire, and a lot of fans and pundits were against Maguire for embracing Stones. I don't see the problem in that. At the end of the day, Maguire and Stones, they know each other for a very long time, and they are partners. They are centre back partners in the England team, so they are mates. At the end of the match, I don't see nothing wrong with how Maguire is going up to going up to Stones and try to check how you been, good to see you back on the pitch or something like that, whatever they had to talk about. They're mates. And I don't know if you noticed, at halftime, Gabriel Jesus went to Fred and asked if Fred was alright, because Fred had he had a knock. Basically, he was playing with some difficulties because he received a challenge earlier on in the game, and he was moving with difficulties. So Gabriel Jesus went up to Fred. That's his teammate. That's his colleague in the national team. So even though the clubs have rivals, some of the players, they're good mates. I don't see nothing wrong with them having a chat at the end of the game or at halftime to check on one another if they're alright. At the end of the day, they're not enemies. They're just rivals, and the football fans are too emotional, basically. Oh, why is Maguire talking to Stones? Oh, they shouldn't be talking to Stones. They should be talking. They should leave that to the end. They shouldn't be doing that on the fans, in front of the fans. There's nothing wrong with that, I would say. Anyway, other results: Tottenham drew against Crystal Palace, and Chelsea lost. I was gonna say Chelsea drew. No, Chelsea lost against Everton, and Chelsea went from third to fifth. That's how unpredictable this season has been. One minute you could be third, the next minute you're fifth. And Spurs had a good game against Crystal Palace. That was a good game, very competitive. Both teams tried to win. And the interesting thing was that both goals were caused by keepers' mistakes. Crystal Palace keeper failed to save a shot by Hurricane. Basically, the ball swerved in front of him, and he took a gamble. He moved to the right, and the ball swerved to the left. So that was the keeper's mistake, but he redeemed himself. And in my opinion, Crystal Palace keeper was the man of the match. He kept Crystal Palace in the game. Especially the last save was a free kick by Eric Dyer. That was a tremendous free kick, and the ball was going on the top corner, and the keeper made a world class save and kept the game 1-1. That was a very interesting game to watch. Spurs dropped points, but they still first because Liverpool also drew against Fulham. Fulham is improving. At the beginning of the season, Fulham was one of the teams that I thought was going to get relegated, but at the moment they seem that they will survive. Parker got them organized, and they have a good thing going on up front. They have youngsters with pace up front, and they are solid at the back. and they had the last 3 games I saw Fulham. I'm certain that if Fulham continue to play like that, they will stay in the Premier League. They took points from from the Premier League's favourites, Liverpool. I still think Liverpool are favourites to win the Premier League this season, but I think Spurs is in with a good shot. Spurs is in with a good chance of winning Premier League. I think they are Premier League contenders this season. Mourinho is a winner, and Mourinho will do whatever he has to do to win the Premier League. I think if the Spurs is going to win the Premier League, this is their best chance, because I don't know if it's to do with the fact that the fans are not enough in the stadium. I mean, we're having smaller crowds at the moment, but London just going to a different tier now, and there are talks that the virus is mutating or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having no fans again in the next few weeks. So I think this is what making teams so inconsistent, is the fact that they don't have the crowds there to cheer them on. And at the moment, every team is inconsistent. From top to bottom in the Premier League, everyone is inconsistent, and anything is possible. So though I think Liverpool is still favored to win the Premier League, I think Spurs is in with a good shot. And yeah, and also another news is Arsenal is
Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.